Okay, boys and girls, let's start lesson 3 in our patterns and equations unit. I'm going to be teaching it to you using the smartboard as if you're in the classroom, only you're at home watching it. Now, before doing this lesson, you should have completed lesson 2 and 2b using t-tables. It will be really helpful for you. Okay, but let's talk about this new part of the unit, which is talking about variables. This can be a word that makes children nervous, which is why I want to record a video about it so that you can understand what a variable is and not be nervous. So first of all, let's look at the definition of what a variable is so we can understand what we mean by that. So if we bring up this web page here, it tells us that a variable is a symbol used to represent a number in an expression, and that's kind of how we're going to use it. Here you can see that the variable is highlighted. 2n plus 3. The variable is n. X plus 3 equals 5. The variable is x. Y equals y plus x. Y equals x plus 3. The variable is y and the variable is x. What that means is that these variables, these letters, stand for a number. Sometimes they'll stand for one number, but because they're called variables, they can stand for a group of numbers. They can stand for more than one number or an unknown number. Hope I haven't confused you by saying that. Let's go back to our lesson and see how we have to do this then. So, in this introduction activity, I'm going to do it for you because you can't do it, you're not in class. We're going to take some green pattern blocks. Oops. We're going to take some, I'll just undo that. We'll take some green pattern blocks and we're going to make what's called an increasing pattern with the blocks. And we have to draw each figure in the pattern on dot paper. And so here's the pattern block we're going to use. It's a triangle. And we have to think of what is the perimeter of each figure. Well, the perimeter over here is 1 plus 1 plus 1. So the perimeter is 3. The distance around it is 3. So figure number, if we look at this t-table down here, figure number 1, the perimeter would be 3 units. So let's go ahead and have me build that pattern now. So if I bring over, this is figure number 1. On my t-table I've got down here, I'll write down figure number, not very neat, sorry, and perimeter. So figure number 1, that's figure number 1 there, the perimeter is 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I want to create figure number 2. I'll create it here. Now it uses one triangle, and then the next triangle has to be kind of inverted upside down, so it goes like so together. Now let's check out the perimeter of this shape. 1, 2, 3, 4. So figure number 2 has a perimeter of 4. Let's build the next figure. The next figure we start with figure 2. That's what figure 2 looks like. And we add one more triangle to it. And then we add up the sides. Sorry, we create figure 3. And we've got a perimeter of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perimeter of 5. Now let me just check how many of these we have to make. It says copy and complete for the first 3 figures. So I've done that here. I've got my first 3 figures. I've drawn the figure number and I've got the perimeter. perimeter here. Okay. Then it tells us continue the pattern, make the next 3 figures. Okay, draw these figures on dot paper. Extend the table for the next 3 figures. Okay, so let's draw or create the next 3 figures. So figure 4 would look like this. That's figure 3. That's what figure 4 would look like. So figure 4 has a perimeter of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now there's probably some of you are thinking, why do we have to keep building the shapes when I know how many the perimeter will be? Okay, well we'll do it anyway because the book has asked us. So that was figure 4. We'll do figure 5 and then we'll do figure 6. Then we'll call it good. Okay, so for figure 5, I'm building the same as figure 4 and then again just adding one extra shape to the end of it before I add up to find my perimeter. Perimeter of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lengths. So shape 5 has 7. And then shape 6, 2, 3, okay. So that was shape 5 there. Shape 6 would look like that. And it has a perimeter of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 lengths. Okay, so that's our T-table. We can see the pattern growing here by +1. But what's the relationship? What is the relationship between the two columns? Well, what do we do to this column to get this column? Well, to go from 1 to 3, we have to multiply by 3. Does that work for the other numbers? 2 times 3 is not 4. 2 times 3 would be 6. So times 3 is not the relationship. So we have to think of another relationship to go from 1 to 3. How about make a relationship of add 2? 1 plus 2 is 3. That works. 2 plus 2 is 4. That works. 3 plus 2 is 5. That works. 4 plus 2 is 6. So the relationship is a +2 relationship. Okay, that's good. Now the question on the page before asks us to, it says extend the table for these 3 figures. We've done that. What patterns do you see in the table? How is the perimeter different from the perimeter before? How is the perimeter related to the figure number? So let's talk about that. We've covered it, but let's remind ourselves. The pattern that we see is this pattern of going +1, +1, +1, +1, +1, +1. And the relationship is +2. We have 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 2 is 4, 3 plus 2 is 5. So here we can see how we can use a pattern going down the column here, and we can use a relationship to connect the 2 columns in the T-table. All right, we're not using that. So the next example, it says, here's a pattern of line segments drawn on dot paper. And here's a T-table that goes with it. So let's look at that then. So figure 1. If you look at figure 1, it has 2 dots here. Figure 2 has 3 dots. Figure 3 has 1, 2, 3, 4 dots. Figure 4 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots. Figure 5 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dots. Below that diagram, the table down here shows each figure number. So figure 1, figure 2, figure 3, figure 4, figure 5. And then it shows you the number of dots. So figure 1 had 2 dots. Figure 2 had 3 dots. Figure 3 had 4 dots. Figure 4 was up. Oh, hang on. Figure 4, which is over here, had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots. And figure 5 here had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dots. Okay, then this equation here, some people find that confusing. It shows the relationship. Let me explain why. Let me get rid of this mess first of all. It shows the relationship between the figure number and the number of dots. So let's just think about these numbers here and these numbers here, okay? What do I have to do to 1 to get to 2? I have to add 1. What do I have to do to 2 to get to 3? I have to add 1. What do I have to do to 3 to get to 4? I have to add 1. From 4 to get to 5, I have to add 1. From 5 to 6, I have to add 1. So my relationship between these two columns is a +1 relationship, okay? The pattern going down here as well, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is also +1. Now let's talk about how we can use a variable. Below that it says we can write each number of dots as this sum. In other words, we can come up with how many dots there are. We can say, well, to find out how many dots, we have to take the figure number, right, and apply that relationship, +1. Because 1 plus 1 will give us 2. 2 plus 1 will give us 3. 3 plus 1 will give us 4. So instead of using the word figure number +1, we're going to use a letter. And the letter we'll use is F. And F will stand for any figure number up here. Could be figure number 1, figure 2, figure 3, figure 4, figure 5, figure 100. Because if we had figure 100, how many dots would be in it? Well, let's just take 100, apply the relationship, 100 plus 1 would mean we'd have 101 dots on figure 100. Now this letter F, this is called a variable, okay? This is called a variable. And we use lowercase letters and italics, lowercase italicized letters. So for that table, the number of, it says here, the number of dots on figure F is F plus 1. Okay. F plus 1 is an expression that represents the pattern in the number of dots. Okay, now that can be a wee bit confusing. Try not to be. We can check this expression is correct for the number of dots on the 6th figure. The 6th figure is over here, if you see it. So we'll replace figure 6 with F. Okay. So, figure 6, we're going to apply this equation, this expression. We're going to apply this one. So where it says F, we have to replace F with the figure number, and that figure number there is 6. To find out how many dots there are, we apply the rule or the relationship. So 6 plus 1 equals 7. There should be 7 dots. Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Did that one already. It also tells us we can use a variable to write a pattern rule. Look at this pattern, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Each term is one more than the one preceding or the one before it. Look for a way to relate the value of the term to its position in the pattern. Now this is tricky. In that group of numbers, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, you have to think, which number is first? That's first. That's number 1. Which number is second? That's the second number in the lineup of numbers. This is the third number in the lineup of numbers. This is the fourth number in that lineup, and this is the fifth number of that in that lineup. Well, I can turn this information here into a t-table. That's what they've done over here. What they do is they can say, okay, I'll just build t-tables here. They can say term position. I'll just call this term position here, I'm just calling it t. And then value. Okay, so term position and value. So the first term, the value is 7 up here. The second term, its value is 8. The third term, its value is 9. The fourth term, its value is 10. And the fifth term, its value is 11. So that's how we can take this row of numbers and turn them into a t-table. Then, what we have to do next is find out the expression. So each of these numbers here, we're just going to call that t for term. Okay. Now, what's the relationship between each of these numbers and the value? Well, plus 6, plus 6, plus 6, plus 6. So the rule is plus 6. So t plus 6 is going to give me the value. T plus 6 is going to give me the value. So that's the expression I want to write. T plus 6 equals value. So if someone were to say to me, well, what would be the value of the 100th number in that lineup? So I'm going to erase part of this because I'm making a mess. So if someone were to say, what's the value then of the 100th number in this line? So this lineup of numbers here, what would be the value of the 100th number? Well, we can work that out. We can think. The 100th term, we have to add our plus 6, is going to give us a value of 106. So our 100th number here would have a value of 106. Okay. They've checked it. Oh, okay. We can go to the next one. Okay, same page again. Okay, so now you've got some practice questions. The practice questions start off showing you a picture, and you take the information from the picture and create a t-table. And then look for the relationship, write the expression. You do that for questions 1 and 2. Then questions 3, they give you the t-table, you have to come up with the expression. Question 4, they just give you the numbers. You have to turn them into a t-table, come up with the expression. So let's try the first question in each of them, okay? So I'll try and be as neat as I can. For number 1, I have to draw in my notebook a t-table like this. So you would draw in your notebook a t-table. We have figure number, I'm just going to write down F, and dots. So figure number 1. Here's figure number 1 here. Figure number 1. How many dots does it have? Say it out loud. That's right, 4. Figure number 2. How many dots does it have? Say it out loud. It's got 5 dots. Figure number 3 has got 6 dots. Figure number 4 has got 7 dots. Figure number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dots. Okay, so copy and complete the table. We did that. Write an expression to represent the pattern in the number of dots. So some people might think, well, the expression is what's going on here. No. We have to think of that relationship. What do we have to do to each of the figures to get the number of dots? Well, what do we do from 1 to get to 4? From 2 to get to 5? From 3 to get to 6? From 4 to get to 7? We're going to have to add 3. So let's write the expression. The expression would be F plus 3, because that's what we have to do, equals dots. And that's our answer for B. Now I want you to do number 2 on your own. Same type of question, you do it on your own. Then when it comes to number 3, number 3A we'll do together. I'll do for you. Number 3A, you've got the t-table. You have to find out what the relationship is. What do you do from 1 to get to 5, from 2 to get to 6, from 3 to get to 7? Well, you have to add 4. So let's come up with an expression. The expression we could be is f, think of our relationship, plus 4 equals dots. And that would be your answer for 3A. Now 4A. 4A, you're just given the numbers by themselves. So we have to turn them into a t-table. So I'm going to draw it over here for you. So 4A we have, now, not figure, because we have these terms. And 4A, this is the first term, 2. This is the second term, 3. The third term is 4. Fifth term is 6, and so on. So we're going to have term and value. So term 1, the value of that number is 2. That's the first term in the line of numbers. The second term in the line of numbers has a value of 3. The third term has a value of 4. The fourth term has a value of 5. The fifth term has a value of 6. And the sixth term has a value of 7. Okay, so all I've done now is taken note that lineup of numbers and turn it into a t-table. What I have to do now is write a pattern rule. So I've got to come up with a relationship. What's that relationship? Well, it's plus 1. So to come up with an expression then, I would say, instead of term, I'd write down t, which means any of these numbers. T, think of my relationship, plus 1 equals value. So that's the answer for 3A. You go ahead and do, that's the answer for 4A. You go ahead and do 4B and 4C. So your homework today, boys and girls, let me see if I can get to a blank screen, is you're doing number 1B, that's not right. You're doing number 2. Then you're doing number 3B and 3C. Then you're doing number 4B and 4C. And then take a picture and send it to me. And we'll do the second part of the lesson on Wednesday.